So I'm working on like prepping for my sync game that I'm gonna stream on Twitch on Sunday, which I might put this out after that, so sorry about the weird timeline. Um, but I thought it would be interesting to kind of share some of my prep work because this is like a playtest, and also, I'm running a game, so I'm GMing and playtesting at the same time, which is actually kind of a weird thing to prep for. You have to prep for both like what you're gonna do in the game, like all the GMing stuff you have to do, in addition to like specifically, okay, I'm playtesting these things, I'm not playtesting these things anymore, and I want to take this mechanic out, and I want to like edit, the length of this part and move it over here, and it's actually like a lot of stuff. So I don't know, I thought I'd share my stuff. So I definitely said this before, but putting on the right music is essential, getting in the mood for what I'm about to do. And I actually made a playlist for this game a long time ago. But I made this playlist for while I was writing the game 2 years ago and running the first playtest ever. So it's pretty good, and I have a lot of good memories associated with it. And it gets me in the mood of thinking like this game in particular, in cyberpunk stuff, feelings, queerness, and activism, and like basically all of that. So essential, get in the mood, step one. I also, before this, while I was eating my amazing vegan kale avocado salad, watched this review that just came out this week on YouTube of Mr. Robot, the series, which is one of the inspirations for this game. So I'm like coming to it with like a feeling of all the characters that are in that genre and the plot lines, the types of problems or NPCs that like my characters in my game on Sunday might come up against. And that's helpful for me because I've been in like a David Lynch / DJ mode for like the past couple days, which is pretty different, similar but different. So like I basically kind of have to change what I'm thinking about before I can begin like really focusing and doing good work on this. And so this is what I'm working on from last session. These are my notes. I usually make a like some kind of relationship thing that looks like this for my PCs when I'm running a game. So it's like, here are the PCs. I usually put them in sitting order so that I can remember who is who, like the player and the character, that is. And, I put pronouns, I'll put down relevant things about their backgrounds so that I can like always look at that kind of shorthand instead of like having to look over their character sheet. And this is especially helpful for me online so far because it's kind of hard to access all the documents online. So you can see our three main characters. We have a driver, designer, and an analyst. Those are three playbooks in my game. And so what I'm going to be designing for this Sunday is what they're up against. And it's a little hard because half of it isn't done yet. Like, we didn't get to finish creating the city. We got done this much, kind of a lot of the color of the city, some locations that are there. We know that we're in near future Miami. It's 10 seconds in the future Miami. And then, also just some more stuff that's in the city. So the stuff we didn't get to yet is, like, we do a collaboration on creating, the big bads of the game. So, like, the three main groups, corrupt capitalist groups that they're up against in the game, and some of the NPCs and villains that are associated with those groups. So because we're going in a little blind, like, we'll finish that in this session, but I don't know if we begin play this session, if I will begin incorporating those things into play right away, depending on how long it takes, or depending on how quickly I can think on my feet. So what I want to create as a GM is something that I can use, if I have an awesome idea to apply to those enemies when they come up with them on the spot, that during the game, or if I can't think of something relevant, something that works anyway, something that works in the setting, works with their characters, and is interesting and compelling and allows them to like play with the mechanics of the game. So gets them to use their moves, their character moves, show off their characters a little bit. Because usually in like the first session of a game, you want to get to know the characters, and the players want to get to know their characters. Like, they don't know who they are yet, and so giving them things that allow their characters to shine and bring out parts of their personality is usually my focus of GMing in the first session. I also give this advice in Sync, the game itself, but it's kind of loosely written, so I have to write it better. But that's kind of how I run games and how I want Sync to run itself.
So then we'll go back to these characters. So what could bring these characters out and make them shine in the first act? You know, we have a driver who used to be, you know, a carjacker. We have a furniture designer who's like a furniture hacker for, you know, a good cause, for activist causes out in public. And we have an analyst who like used to misuse data basically in the past and to their own benefit, to her own benefit. So, you know, and then we have like their bizarre love triangle of like they're all friends and they're all working towards a similar goal by, you know, Nash is in love with Tessa, and both Leto and Tessa had dated Nash in the past, and Leto and Tessa just hooked up on a long road trip. And so, you know, kind of like any good drama about, you know, people in their 20s after, you know, they graduate college trying to find themselves, they have like these messy relationships, which is great for plot development. So probably, looking at their relationships, that's something I would want to highlight in the session. So I'll probably make a note about highlighting their relationships. So there you go, just like four separate ideas maybe about how to highlight the relationships in the first session. Pretty loose. We also know that the goal of the group is to make things accessible for people in their community, you know, for people who, whatever corporations we come up with, you know, whoever those corporations are marginalized, they want to help those people in particular. And so that's something else I would want to know in the first session, like what are they doing to help those people and who are they? So for NPCs, I'll probably want to detail maybe one or two of those people if I can.
So part of what I'm doing here is actually figuring out how to write the GM tools for Sync by going through the process of GMing it again. So I have a lot of this stuff down already. Like I have a lot of NPC names and what types of NPCs to create. And I'll show you some of that in a second on my document. But going through the process again, it's kind of like, okay, this is how I'm doing it. So this is how I want to communicate to my GMs or people who might be running this game in the future, how to do it. So I'm just taking note of that, I guess.
So for example, I have these NPC names already made up. I have NPC moves and some basic instructions on how to create NPCs in the document as it is so far. I also have this whole first document on how to do a first session. So just kind of how to do everything that you have to get done in order to play the game, and then like how to do scene pacing, how many characters should be in each scene, some easy starters, how to establish NPCs, introduce enemies. This is all stuff that I think will have a bunch more text, but I just basically have this pretty basic handout so far. So some other random things I want to see is maybe, you know, we want to maybe the DJ at the party is someone who is affected, you know, unfairly by the corporations in play. Someone's step-sibling or family member. Someone from, you know, our driver's carjacking past would be kind of an interesting character. or like a homeless shelter or a group, maybe the leader of the homeless shelter, people who are affected by the furniture design that our designer is doing. And for the analyst, maybe another hacker who knows what data she stole, in her past. So just like kind of excuses to talk about the characters, what they're doing, who they are, and like basically bring out in roleplay what they're doing.
So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this handheld episode. Trying something new. The light isn't perfect, but that's fine, whatever. This is like my basic prep. I might do a little bit more just so that I feel more comfortable going into the session. I'm still a little nervous about streaming on Twitch, but that's fine. I hope you watch. It's on Sunday. If this is after Sunday, we'll always have the YouTube VOD, I think that's what it's called, afterwards. And I guess like, subscribe, follow, and if you like my content, share with your friends. And I do have a Patreon you can support. That's important to me. I hope you do. And until next time, see you in the next vid.